Have you ever walked into a room where your adult children were sitting, and suddenly the conversation changed? Maybe it got quiet, or perhaps they exchanged that glance, the kind you use to give your own parents when you thought they didn't understand your world anymore. It's subtle, but it stings. You might smile through it or brush it off, but deep down, a part of you whispers, "Do they even respect me anymore?" If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. It's one of the hardest things about getting older. Not the wrinkles, not the aches, not even the slower pace. It's that slow erosion of authority, of dignity, of being seen as someone whose voice still matters. And when it comes to your own children, the ones you fed, bathed, taught to ride bikes and chase their dreams, it can feel like a quiet heartbreak. You see, respect isn't just about manners or how someone addresses you. It's about being heard, being seen, being treated as an equal, especially by the people you love most. When that begins to slip, it doesn't just affect your mood. It starts to shake your confidence, your peace of mind, even your sense of purpose. And if you're nodding right now, thinking, "Yes, that's me," then please know this. You are not the problem, and you are not powerless. This chapter of your life isn't about fading into the background. In fact, it can be one of the most empowering, meaningful stages if you choose to take the wheel. Today, we're talking about something that matters deeply to so many older adults. What to do when your adult children treat you like a burden. And more importantly, how you can gently but firmly rebuild the respect that may have gotten lost along the way. Because let me tell you something, respect doesn't expire with age. It just needs a little reminding sometimes. And that's exactly what we're going to explore together. Let's begin by talking about something that's often overlooked, but incredibly powerful. Your tone and emotional presence when interacting with your kids. Over time, relationships evolve. The way you once spoke to your 5-year-old, maybe a bit firm, a little instructive, doesn't quite work with a 35-year-old. And often, what starts as loving concern can be misread as criticism or control. You might say, "You're working too much, you need rest," or "I don't think that new car was a smart choice." And before you know it, there's tension. They pull back, they sigh, they roll their eyes, and suddenly, you're cast in a role you didn't sign up for, the meddling parent. But here's the secret. How you make someone feel in your presence often shapes how they treat you in return. That's true at any age. So the first real shift begins not with big speeches or confrontations, but with presence, emotional presence. When you interact with your kids, try to start from a place of curiosity instead of correction. Instead of jumping in with advice, try saying, "Tell me more about that. How are you feeling about it?" This shows them that you're not trying to direct their life. You're interested in their journey. And that difference, believe it or not, can begin to change the energy of your entire relationship. It's not about silencing your wisdom. Far from it. It's about offering in a way that invites conversation, not resistance. Because when your children feel that you respect their autonomy, they are far more likely to return that same respect to you. Now, let's talk about another powerful way to rebuild respect. Reclaiming your boundaries and your identity. This one might feel a little surprising at first, but hear me out. Somewhere along the line, especially in families where you're providing support, whether it's babysitting grandkids, lending money, helping with errands, it's easy to start being treated as a utility rather than as a whole, complete person. You become, "Mom, can you watch the kids?" Or, "Dad, I need help with my taxes again." And while helping feels good, because that's what parents do, it can also slowly chip away at how others see your time, your needs, and your space. It starts small, but soon your entire week revolves around their lives, not yours. And eventually, that subconscious message sneaks in. They'll always be there. It's what they do. And that, my friend, is when respect begins to fade. So how do you change that? By redefining the script. Start by honoring your own time and energy like it's valuable. Because it absolutely is. If you're tired, say no. If you had plans, don't cancel them to make things easier for your adult children. If you need rest, take it. And when you say no, do it without guilt or a lengthy explanation. A simple, "I won't be able to do that this week," is enough. You teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. The more you honor your time, the more they will too. And here's the beauty of it. When your kids see you setting boundaries and living your own vibrant life, they'll not only begin to respect you more, they might even start to admire you again. There's also something incredibly inspiring about watching a parent later in life say, "You know what? I'm starting a painting class," or "I'm joining a walking group," or "I've decided to take a little weekend trip for myself." It sends a message loud and clear. My life still matters. I'm still growing. I'm still becoming. And that changes everything. You are not a burden. Say that out loud with me for a moment. I am not a burden. Say it again, even if your voice shakes. Because the more you believe that, the more it becomes your truth. And once you start living from that truth, you will begin to see the world and your family respond to you in new and beautiful ways. It's not about demanding respect through raised voices or emotional pleas. It's about inviting it back in with calm strength, quiet confidence, and a deep sense of self-worth. The kind that says, I've lived, I've loved, I've learned, and I'm still here with so much to offer. Now, before we go further, take a deep breath. Seriously, in through your nose and out through your mouth. Let it all go. You are not alone in this. You're part of a generation that has carried the weight of the world. Families, careers, communities. And now, it's your turn to stand a little taller, love yourself a little louder, and claim the respect you deserve, not through conflict, but through grace. Let's keep this momentum going and continue exploring the path to rebuilding the kind of relationships that are rooted in mutual respect, understanding, and love. Because it's never too late to heal, to grow, and to be seen the way you deserve to be. Now that we started shifting how we show up emotionally and reclaiming our time with stronger boundaries, it's time to go even deeper. Because while how we carry ourselves matters a great deal, what we believe about ourselves, deep inside, matters even more. You see, many older adults start to internalize society's quiet, harmful message that aging somehow makes you less relevant. It's subtle. It's in the way doctors speak past you instead of to you. It's in how technology assumes older folks can't keep up. It's even in how adult children begin talking over your head, making decisions on your behalf as if you become a bystander in your own life. But here's the truth no one says out loud. Growing older is not a decline. It's a deepening of wisdom, of strength, of experience. And if you begin to truly see yourself that way, others will have no choice but to follow. So the next piece of the puzzle is recentering your identity, not just as a parent, but as a person. Think about this. When was the last time you introduced yourself as something other than someone's mom or dad? Maybe it's been a while. But the truth is, you are so much more than your role in your children's lives. You are a full human being with passions, talents, values, and dreams, some of which may still be waiting to be rediscovered. And this isn't just some feel-good idea. It has real consequences. When you bring your full identity into the room, when you speak from a place of self-awareness and purpose, people can feel it, including your children. So what does this look like in practice? Truth. And once you start living from that truth, you will begin to see the world and your family respond to you in new and beautiful ways. It's not about demanding respect through raised voices or emotional pleas. It's about inviting it back in with calm strength, quiet confidence, and a deep sense of self-worth. The kind that says, I've lived, I've loved, I've learned, and I'm still here with so much to offer. Now, before we go further, take a deep breath. Seriously, in through your nose and out through your mouth. Let it all go. You are not alone in this. You're part of a generation that has carried the weight of the world. Families, careers, communities. And now, it's your turn to stand a little taller, love yourself a little louder, and claim the respect you deserve, not through conflict, but through grace. Let's keep this momentum going and continue exploring the path to rebuilding the kind of relationships that are rooted in mutual respect, understanding, and love. Because it's never too late to heal, to grow, and to be seen the way you deserve to be. Now that we started shifting how we show up emotionally and reclaiming our time with stronger boundaries, it's time to go even deeper. Because while how we carry ourselves matters a great deal, what we believe about ourselves, deep inside, matters even more. You see, many older adults start to internalize society's quiet, harmful message that aging somehow makes you less relevant. It's subtle. It's in the way doctors speak past you instead of to you. It's in how technology assumes older folks can't keep up. It's even in how adult children begin talking over your head, making decisions on your behalf, as if you become a bystander in your own life. But here's the truth no one says out loud. Growing older is not a decline. It's a deepening of wisdom, of strength, of experience. And if you begin to truly see yourself that way, others will have no choice but to follow. So the next piece of the puzzle is recentering your identity, not just as a parent, but as a person. Think about this. When was the last time you introduced yourself as something other than someone's mom or dad? Maybe it's been a while. But the truth is, you are so much more than your role in your children's lives. You are a full human being with passions, talents, values, and dreams, some of which may still be waiting to be rediscovered. And this isn't just some feel-good idea. It has real consequences. When you bring your full identity into the room, when you speak from a place of self-awareness and purpose, people can feel it, including your children. So what does this look like in practice? And here's another gentle truth. Your children might not even realize how their actions are making you feel. Many adult kids are simply overwhelmed, balancing work, their own children, financial pressures, and personal struggles. They aren't trying to hurt you. They're just stuck in their own whirlwind. But that doesn't make your feelings any less valid, which is why calmly expressing how things impact you and suggesting changes isn't just fair, it's necessary. And if you're thinking, well, I've tried, but they don't listen, let me remind you, sometimes it takes more than one conversation. Sometimes it takes time. And sometimes it takes you modeling the change first before they feel safe enough to meet you halfway. And while we're on the subject of feeling heard, here's another empowering truth. You don't always need your children's validation to know your worth. Yes, it's wonderful to be respected by them, but that respect starts inside. When you respect yourself, your needs, your boundaries, your voice, that inner strength becomes undeniable. People notice. Your children will notice. There's a phrase I love. When you change, everything changes. It doesn't mean you have to become someone else. It means you return to the strongest, most authentic version of yourself, the one you may have set aside in all those years of caregiving and giving. Let's pause for a moment and really sit with that. You are worthy of kindness, dignity, and respect. Not because of what you do for others, but simply because of who you are. You've earned it through a lifetime of love, sacrifice, growth, and resilience. Don't let anyone, even your children, convince you otherwise. And here's the thing. When you believe that, when you truly hold that belief close, your energy begins to shift. You no longer walk into a room hoping to be treated well. You walk in expecting it, not with arrogance, but with calm self-assurance. And that presence, that confidence, commands respect. You don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to beg. You just have to be rooted in your worth. So, what does this look like in real life? It might mean calmly saying, I love helping out, but I need to rest today, without over-explaining. Or, I'd love to be included in the family vacation planning. Can we talk about it together? Or even, I feel like I'm being spoken about, not spoken to. I'd appreciate being part of the conversation. You'd be surprised how often a moment of clear, grounded communication can shift the atmosphere in a room. And yes, not every moment will be perfect. There might still be times when your kids disappoint you, misunderstand you, or act in ways that feel unfair. But now, you're no longer reacting from a place of frustration or sadness. You're responding from strength, because you're not trying to control them. You're simply choosing to respect yourself and expecting others to do the same. That shift changes families. That shift builds bridges. That shift rebuilds respect. Let's keep going. There's more to uncover, more ways to step fully into your dignity, and more strength within you than you even realize. Let's continue, because now that you've started reclaiming your identity and expressing your truth with more clarity, there's another powerful tool waiting to be picked up, the power of contribution. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Wait, I've been contributing my whole life. I raise my kids. I help with grandkids. I've supported them financially, emotionally, practically. I'm tired of always having to give. And you're right. You've given more than most people will ever understand. But this is different. This isn't about contributing from a place of obligation. This is about choosing where and how you want to make a difference now, on your own terms. It's about shifting from service to purpose. You see, one of the biggest emotional traps that leads to resentment between older parents and adult children is when everything you give starts to feel expected instead of appreciated. But when you decide how you contribute, and when you do it from a place of joy rather than guilt, something amazing happens. The energy changes. Let's say you love cooking. Rather than being asked to make dinner last minute or pressured to host every holiday, maybe you decide that once a month, you'll host a special Sunday meal your way, on your schedule. And when you do it from a place of generosity, not obligation, your kids will feel that difference too. It's not just another meal. It's a moment you've chosen to create. Or maybe you love storytelling. Instead of feeling invisible while the grandkids are glued to screens, you offer to read them stories from your own childhood, stories that connect them to where they came from, not just babysitting, but legacy building. There's even research behind this. A study published in Psychology and Aging found that older adults who felt they had a sense of purpose were significantly more likely to feel respected and valued in their family roles. It wasn't about how much they did. It was about how meaningful those contributions felt to them. And when you model this kind of intentional, purpose-filled giving, your adult children begin to see you differently. You're not just someone who helps out. You're someone who chooses how to show up. That self-respect quietly demands their respect in return. And if your kids are the kind who rarely say thank you or who seem to take your presence for granted, I want you to remember something crucial. Unspoken gratitude does not mean your efforts are worthless. Some people simply don't know how to express appreciation. But you can still decide how you want to give and how much of yourself you're willing to offer. You are allowed to say no to the things that drain you and yes to the things that light you up. And while we're here, let's talk about something that doesn't get enough attention. What to do when respect doesn't return. Because let's be honest, sometimes, no matter how much you change, no matter how clearly you communicate, no matter how intentionally you contribute, your adult children may still treat you with coldness, condescension, or disregard. Maybe they're stuck in their own pain. Maybe they're angry about the past. Maybe they're just so consumed with their own lives that they can't or won't see you clearly. That hurts. And I won't sugarcoat that pain. Feeling dismissed by the very people you poured your life into cuts deeper than most things. But even in that space, you are not powerless. Here's where we talk about a concept that's often misunderstood: emotional detachment. Now, I'm not talking about giving up on your kids or withdrawing love. I'm talking about protecting your peace. It's about no longer tying your self-worth to their approval or their behavior. It's saying, I can love you deeply and still keep my heart safe from your neglect. It's understanding that their behavior says more about them than it does about you. This kind of detachment is not cold. In fact, it's incredibly freeing. It allows you to stop waiting for others to treat you well before you feel good about yourself. It gives you the strength to build your own joy, your own community, your own path, regardless of how your children choose to show up. And sometimes, ironically, that distance is what wakes them up. When your adult kids begin to sense that you are no longer emotionally available to be criticized, taken for granted, or leaned on unfairly, they may begin to rethink their own behavior, not because you demanded it, but because you stopped being available for disrespect. Think of it like this. If someone keeps knocking on your door and you always answer, even when you're tired, even when you're hurt, they never question whether they should change. But the moment the door stays closed until they knock with kindness, that's when change becomes possible. And in the meantime, you're not waiting by the door. You're off building your garden, your friendships, your peace. Let's take another example. Joyce, a vibrant 68-year-old woman I once spoke to. Her daughter often criticized her for her outdated opinions and would roll her eyes anytime Joyce offered parenting advice. After years of feeling diminished, Joyce decided to shift how she responded. She stopped trying to prove herself. She stopped chasing approval. Instead, she poured her energy into starting a small community book club where she shared her love of historical fiction. She started spending weekends exploring parks, taking art classes, and connecting with people who valued her voice. At first, her daughter barely noticed, but over time, something changed. Her daughter began asking, "What book are you reading now, Mom?" She became curious. The criticism faded. The respect began to quietly return, not because Joyce demanded it, but because she stopped begging for it and started living again. That's the power of emotional detachment. That's the strength you carry when you decide to reclaim your life from the weight of unmet expectations. And here's a beautiful truth to carry with you. You are allowed to thrive even if your relationships are imperfect. You are allowed to build a life of joy and purpose even if your children don't give you the respect you deserve. You can still find your tribe. You can still inspire others. You can still wake up every morning with something to look forward to, because your story isn't over. In fact, some of the most beautiful chapters may still be ahead. There's a quiet confidence that comes from choosing peace over permission, growth over guilt, and dignity over desperation. That's a version of you your children and the world can't help but respect. You don't need to raise your voice to make your presence known. Just keep showing up as a whole, worthy, resilient person you are. We've already covered so much ground: strengthening your boundaries, reclaiming your identity, speaking your truth, contributing with purpose, and guarding your emotional energy. Each one is a step closer to rebuilding the respect that may have started to fade. But there's still one more piece left to uncover, perhaps the most powerful of them all. You've already taken so many brave steps: setting boundaries, finding your voice, contributing with intention, and protecting your peace. Now, let's explore one last and truly transformative way to rebuild respect when your adult kids treat you like a burden: embracing self-respect as your foundation. What does that mean exactly? It means seeing yourself as worthy, valuable, and deserving of kindness, no matter what anyone else says or does. Sometimes, when respect feels scarce from others, the most radical and healing act is to give it to yourself first. It's easy to forget this when we've spent a lifetime caring for others, putting their needs ahead of our own. But respect always starts from the inside out. When you hold yourself in high regard, you naturally set the tone for how others should treat you. This isn't about pride or stubbornness. It's about quiet confidence, the kind that says, "I matter, my feelings matter, my experience matters." When you treat yourself with respect, you don't allow others to diminish you, and you don't accept being made to feel like a burden. You might wonder how to cultivate this self-respect day by day, especially if you struggle with feelings of invisibility or being undervalued. One way is through simple daily practices: speaking kindly to yourself, honoring your needs, and recognizing your accomplishments, even the small ones. When you wake up, remind yourself that you are enough, just as you are. When you go to bed, acknowledge something you did well or a moment of joy you created. Another part of self-respect is forgiving yourself. We all carry regrets, mistakes, or moments we wish had gone differently. Holding on to guilt or shame only chips away at your sense of worth. But when you learn to forgive yourself, you make room for healing and growth. And as your self-respect grows stronger, you'll notice a shift in how your children respond. Sometimes, when they see you standing tall and valuing yourself, they begin to recognize the respect they owe you. They may not change overnight, but your steady example creates ripples. It's also important to surround yourself with people who do respect you. Sometimes family isn't the only, or even the main, source of the love and honor we need. Friends, neighbors, community groups, or faith communities can become places where you feel valued and cherished. Building these connections fills your life with warmth and support, reminding you that respect is never something you have to beg for. It's something you can find and nurture. And remember, rebuilding respect isn't about control or manipulation. It's about reclaiming your dignity and choosing how you want to live now. Your adult children are on their own journeys, and their actions say more about them than about your worth. You have the power to reclaim your narrative, to rewrite the story of your relationship on your terms. And that is deeply empowering. As you reflect on this, I want you to hold on to one simple truth. Your value is not tied to how others treat you, but to who you are at your core. Your kindness, your wisdom, your strength, those things don't fade with time. They only grow richer. So, as you step forward, Take a moment to celebrate yourself for all the love you've given, for all the challenges you've faced, for the courage it takes to keep loving even when it's hard. Respect starts within, blossoms through your actions, and eventually ripples outwards. If this message has touched you, I'd love to hear your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. Sharing your story not only helps others, but also reminds us all that we are not alone on this journey. And if you found value in this conversation, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. There's so much more we can explore together about living fully and joyfully at every stage of life. Here's to living your best life at any age, with dignity, grace, and the respect you deserve. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself. You're worth it.